Starting, that's recording. All right, cool. Go back. My notes up. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and all non binary individuals. Welcome back to another episode of the Internet's only podcast. This is Topicocalypse, and I am your benevolent or irrelevant host, Josh Peterson. Before we go on, this episode of Topicocalypse is brought to you by Wheelie Q barbecue sauces and rubs. Summer might be coming to an end, but your flavor game doesn't have to. More on that later. Once again, I have something very special in store for you, music fans. If you're not a music fan or you like electronica slash transformer sex noises, feel free to find something else to listen to. Today, instead of having a bunch of idiots sitting around a table talking about things they may or may not know anything about, I'm joined by special guest Callum Reed of the melodic hardcore band Stasis. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. It means a lot.
Yeah. All right. So let's just get rolling here. To start things off, what can you tell us about Stasis? How'd you guys come together? How did you decide what kind of music to play? Give us the dirt.
Um, it's a long story actually. So our lead guitarist, Michael Williams, him and I have been best buddies for many years. But basically, like our band started out, he was in a project with a couple guys out of Pennsylvania in the States. And they wanted him to move down to start a project down there. And we're both from Canada, obviously, but um, they invited him to come down, and they didn't have a bass player, and I didn't play any instrument at that time. I actually learned the bass, and then we both moved down there to start a new project with the guys that live down there. Um, and I don't know if I want to get into all the like nitty gritty details, but it didn't go as well as planned. And then at the end of the day, Mike and I moved home, back up to BC in Canada and started our own thing. With the same name, obviously, we changed a lot of the dynamics of the band and the sound and stuff. Like when we moved down there, we were aiming for like a straight traditional metalcore sound, like heavy breakdowns and gent and all that stuff. And now we're a lot more focused on the melodic and like the prettier side of the music. And it's been going really well for us. It's been a long journey of trying to find the right members and all that, but where we are right now as a band has been the best it's been so far. So
Cool. So when you said when you moved down to the States, was that did you guys have an EP? Was that before or after the EP came out?
we did an EP. I don't know. We pretend it doesn't exist, to be honest, because it's just so different than the stuff we have now. It's like if you dig really deep on the internet, you can find it. It's like a 5 song EP we recorded in Kelowna here, in our hometown. Mike did everything, mixed it, mastered it, all that stuff. Because he took an audio engineering course at the college in town. And yeah, he's like really knowledgeable with all that kind of stuff. And we started out with that, and then yeah, it kind of went from there. It was like a long process of all that stuff, but yeah, we did an EP that song, and then did a 10 song LP last fall with our new stuff. So
Nice, nice. All right. Well, so when I listen to you guys kind of have a sound that feels very nostalgic to me, like the traditional
we get that a lot. Yeah.
uh, it's good though. I like it. There's not like a
I
lot of
appreciate that, man. Yeah, we go
yeah.
for I don't know, like a lot of our influences, like it come from the roots and stuff like that. Like I don't know. I grew up on a lot of like Poison the Well and like Misery Signals and stuff like that. Like a lot of
Yeah.
the traditional like mid 2000s metalcore and stuff like that. And yeah, it's definitely come to present in our stuff that we're writing nowadays. So
So when you guys write though, do you do that on purpose?
not intentionally actually at all. No. Yeah, like traditionally, like Mike does or did, I should say, like the majority of almost every single piece of writing instrumentally. I'm now the vocalist. I used to play bass in the band when we wrote that EP. Um, but now I'm the vocalist, and I stick strictly to structuring the lyrics and all that sort of stuff and writing and all that. But he used to do a lot of the like all of the writing, and now with the new members that we've got, it's kind of a little bit more spaced out with everyone's ideas, which is it's actually helped out a lot as far as like progressing the band and progressing the writing process and stuff like that. So
So on the topic of the writing process, do you, because you're the vocalist, do you write the music to cater to the vocals, or do you wait till all the music's written then you put vocals over it?
yeah, we Mike writes like all the music and then I put vocals over top of it. It's works well so far, so that's kind of what we stick to. Um, I don't know, like in some situations I tend to like jump in early and write stuff over little things and just have little ideas here and there, but for the most part it's all after the fact. So
So would you say that when you feel the need to jump in on something early, that you have a good feeling it's going to be a really great song? That's because you get so excited about it.
yeah, not necessarily a great song, but just a great part. Like I really like to like I love planning and stuff like that in big moments and stuff in big parts of the songs. Well, where I'll get like an idea for a chorus or a big breakdown or something like that, and it won't go away because it'll be so stuck in me. But yeah, a lot of the writing and stuff like that comes after the fact that he's written the song and it's not completely finalized, but it's the structure is basically there, so I can kind of go off that, and then yeah.
So how's when you guys are writing? How's the chemistry of the band? Do you guys all get along well, or is there like a Ringo
Yeah,
Starr?
no, it's been really great lately. Like in the past, we've had a lot of struggles with members, and like I said, Mike did all the writing anyway, so it was kind of like I think some people kind of were offended the fact that like he would just give them music to play and they wouldn't have any input in writing, but it was like we would have so many member changes like frequently that it didn't really matter. I mean, like we weren't really banking on people inputting stuff and giving their 2 cents when they weren't going to be around for, it wasn't like it's just kind of how it always was. We always went through people that were just not right and didn't fit, and Mike and I have kind of been the the backbone of it from the start, and it's been like that since. So, but nowadays, like yeah, like our new guitarist Colton and our bassist Ryan and our drummer Taryn, like we all really mesh really well together, especially in the writing process. Mike still does a lot of this like initial structuring and like kind of gets the backbone of the song, and then everybody kind of chimes in with different parts and interludes and stuff like that that really bring it to life. And yeah, it's working really well for us. So
That's good, man. Yeah, I mean the new Miss Giver is a really good song, so I
thank
can
you, thank you so much. Yeah,
it all meshes very well. All right,
thank
so
you.
between No Hope for Now is the name of your
Hmm.
EP that dropped back in 2017, and just recently you guys put out a single called Misgiver.
Yeah.
I noticed there's a distinct difference between the way they sound. It's almost sounds like musically there's a lot of maturing between No Hope for Now and Misgiver. Was this a natural evolution, or did you set out to write something that reflected where you were in life?
Um, I think sonically it wasn't really. I think it was pretty natural. I think that we're just progressing. And I think that Mike's getting a lot better at writing. And I think myself as well. Like I've definitely matured as a vocalist. I've changed my vocal style up a lot from the LP we did last year. And a lot of people are kind of chiming in and noticing that, which is really cool. The response has been amazing.
Good feedback. Yeah,
Um,
the Scream is definitely a lot different. I like the newer Scream more than the old one.
most people do. There's been like a few people that haven't been a fan of it and like the older one, but it's I love it. It's a lot more emotional and passionate, and it's going really well for us. So
Does it
so
hurt less?
the response has been amazing so far. So yeah, we're super stoked.
Good, good, man. That's awesome. So when you scream though, like this newer Scream, does it hurt less than the original one?
Um, it doesn't hurt any more or any less. It's kind of the same, but it definitely takes a tax on like my lungs a lot more. It's a lot more aggressive and yeah, it definitely takes a lot out of me compared to what I used to be doing. So, which is good though. It brings a lot of the emotion out and people feel that. So,
Yeah. So I mean, so like after you do shows, like I've heard stories where screamers like they can't talk for a couple days afterwards. Does that happen to you?
when I first started out, like it would happen a little bit, like the day after we do a show or whatever, I'd struggle a little bit. But nowadays, like we're playing so often that it's just second nature to me. So
All right on, right on.
yeah.
All right, so let's switch gears for a minute. I came
Hmm.
across Stasis on Dreambound. So as promoters, Dreambound they do an amazing job of keeping like the emo, metalcore, post-hardcore genres alive. What is it like for you guys to be a post-hardcore band in 2018?
In relation to like everybody else, or like,
Well, because for a while it felt like the genre was kind of dying, like in the earlier not early 2000s, but maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, it felt like this kind of music was kind of dying out. But now I'm seeing a renaissance kind of, and there's more.
yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, and I mean, I noticed that a lot in like just the local scenes around like our hometown and stuff too. Like 5, 6 years ago, there was absolutely nothing. I mean, you couldn't put a show together with some buddies if your life depended on it. And now it's like there's one every weekend, which is really cool to see. And I think like worldwide, it's definitely kind of resurging, if you will. Um, and yeah, I mean, people are growing. I don't know. I think that a lot of people are just definitely attaching themselves to it a lot more. Um, and it's with a lot of the newer stuff that's coming out, it's a lot easier to attach yourself to it. But yeah, I mean, I never really fell out of it, but I definitely I can say that I noticed definitely a fallout a few years ago, and it's definitely coming its way back. So, oh, it's good to see. It's really exciting. So,
Yeah, dude, this like the music's really good. Honestly, I always tell people like I always get that that crap for people. They're like, I can't understand what they're saying. It's just it's not good music. But I'm like, dude, if
yeah,
you read the lyrics that some of these people are writing.
yeah, that's like that's definitely the kicker for a lot of people, I think. That's all I ever hear from people that aren't into it, are like, "Oh, I can't understand what you're saying." And they're like, "If I can't understand what you're saying, then it's why listen to it." But I'm like, man, I listen to like some of the modern day, uh, I'll call them rappers, I guess, but like Lil Peep, or I don't know. I don't listen to any of it, but I hear it on the radio sometimes, and I'm like, man, you can't hear that. You can't hear what he's saying. Like I don't know. He just sounds drunk and silly. I don't even know. But it's the same kind of thing, you know? I mean, it's a completely different type of music, but it's the same thing for me. I can't get into it because I don't know what he's saying, and I can't get into it. But it's the same thing. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can understand it, but yeah, it's definitely a big complex for sure. That's like nationwide and in like every aspect of that for sure.
So let me ask you this. What do you think would make the like, the core genres a little more accessible for people?
Um,
Think like more,
Accessible as in like for people that aren't into it to kind of get into it.
yeah, more like melodic, or you think if you added like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely think that because I know that like a lot of people hear like our type of music, that like some of my friends and stuff that aren't into it, like that type of music, and they hear it and they're like, man, it's really melodic and it's pretty and stuff, but I just can't get past the vocal style. And I think a lot of people that attach themselves to like the more post-hardcore kind of genre where there's a lot more clean singing and stuff, a lot of people can kind of get into that. And I think a lot of bands are starting to do that nowadays, rather than just traditional, like mid to low screams and nothing but that. But I think a lot of people have a hard time getting past the quote unquote screamo, if you will. But
yeah.
it's definitely easier to attach yourself to something that's more natural, like singing, than that. So
Yeah, well, I mean, because the cool thing too is that a lot of bands that have been in it for a while, they'll keep screaming, but they'll do a little more like, vocal harmonies and stuff. Or you take bands like, We Came as Romans, rest in peace, Kyle Pavone.
yeah, definitely.
Atreyu, The Word Alive, like those bands have all kind of incorporate more clean vocals as they have gone
Yeah,
progress.
it definitely sparks the creativity aspect of it for sure, and like allows that to flow. Definitely. Yeah.
All right, so I guess the second part of this question was, are you guys having a hard time like getting noticed or bringing attention to what you guys are currently doing?
Um, I won't say it's been hard. It's definitely like it's just kind of hard to understand who's actually hearing it and who's I mean, the response for our new single has been amazing. Like we had this podcast in Australia just played our stuff. like right when it was released. Can't remember the name of it, but they're a big thing down there. And then there's been, yeah, it's I won't say it's been hard to get noticed, but it's definitely like there's just a million bands out there, and everyone's, I mean, got their own music, so it's definitely tough to to make your stuff worthy of like why is my music better than theirs, and that's a big thing I think. But yeah, I mean, just being different and being something new and fresh for people's ears to hear, I think is the biggest thing. So,
Y Yeah, and I feel like, especially with, like, this genre, melodic hardcore, metalcore, whatever, there's, just you had the it's not just the music, you kind of feel it, even if you don't understand what's being said, you kind of attach to it on an emotional level, and that's kinda what draws you into a little bit more
yeah,
of.
absolutely. It's definitely passionate and emotional, and that's what drew me into it when I was getting into it when I was younger. It was just the passion and the emotion, and yeah, like you feel it whether you like to or not, and that's a big part for me, and I think that's a big part for a lot of people.
So, do you think that because it's weird because, like, we're in 2018 and you're encouraged to express yourself in different ways, but a lot of people, it still feels like, are afraid to feel things. So it's like you have all these. Remember way back when, like, if you were like a My Chemical Romance or From First to Last fan, like you were the weird
Yeah.
emo kid. But like nowadays,
Yeah.
uh, people aren't ashamed of listening to it, but there's still, a weirdness around people who express their emotions.
Yeah, I definitely think that I think it's the way that it's expressed, and I think that a lot of people, yeah, there's that constant like weird emo negative connotation around a lot of it, and I think a lot of people still attach themselves to that, whether they like to or not. And I think that a lot of people have a hard time getting around that. But I mean, it's the people that are involved and that you can relate to definitely give some comfort towards that. But it's definitely like, yeah, a lot of people hide behind that and aren't, forthcoming in the way that they feel about it. But it is what it is, it's music, it's expression, that's all it is. So
Yeah, and everything hits people differently. So, you know, how do you when you guys promote like, how do you promote yourselves though? Do you just put your stuff out on YouTube, Spotify, Dreambound, whatever the source is, and then, people come to your social media pages, or is there a process do you guys have like a booth at your shows where you try to encourage people
um
to
it's
check you out?
definitely been like an ongoing process trying to figure out what works for us. Um, yeah, I mean, we release it on everything that we can. This is the first thing that we've released on Dreambound. Was this single that we just put out, and it's definitely gotten us a lot of good exposure. They're like the kings of marketing and exposure and scene music, so it's been a big thing for us. But I don't know, different things work for different people, and different things work for people that are living in different areas, I think is the big thing. I think exposure in Canada is really tough. I think that a lot of people recognize that like there's a lot of talented bands that come from here, but it's definitely hard to like get your name out there as far as shows go. It's definitely like if you compare Canada to America, it's like you can tour America in like 50 different cities in a couple days because they're all a couple hours apart. But in Canada, it's like you get Vancouver and then there's Calgary and Edmonton, and then you have to go all the way over to Ontario for anything respectable and
And that's all.
current. It's definitely hard, and I think that a lot of people just kind of forget about that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, it is, you got to do what you got to do, right? Like we grind really hard on social media and stuff, and it's definitely been increasing and growing the past little while, which is a good thing to see. And we're just, yeah, keeping on going at it. So,
Yeah, so the music scene in Canada. So how do you guys put like tours and shows together? Are there a lot of like I know there are a lot of good bands from Canada that are in this type of music, but when you guys want to go out and do like a small tour or a concert somewhere, like how difficult is that for you?
well, we just actually wrapped up a cross country tour with our friends in This Gun for Hire. They're from Vancouver, which is like 4 hours east of where we are. We play Vancouver a lot. It's kind of the only big city that's in reasonable distance for us. But yeah, I mean, we just wrapped up. That was the first kind of tour that we've ever done as a band. And yeah, we just kind of went full on with it and went all the way to Montreal and back. And yeah, the response on that was amazing. But it's definitely like going about making shows and stuff out of like provinces that are far away. It's definitely tough because it's like you don't know whether it's going to be worth it or not. You don't know what the response is going to be like, and it's definitely a risk. But we've never really ventured outside of BC, British Columbia, outside of this tour. But we definitely plan to. Like, it's definitely something that we're interested in, and yeah, I mean, playing shows outside your own hometown is the best. It's a lot of fun, and that's where the exposure comes from. So
So would you say it worked out because you guys are probably, I'm assuming, the money's coming out of your own pocket to go to these different places. Is it worth the
yeah,
investment?
definitely. Yeah, it definitely worth the investment. It definitely is an investment. It definitely isn't cheap, but yeah, I mean, it's always worth it, right? It's yeah, it was a ton of fun, and yeah, it definitely comes out of our own pocket, and there's yeah, like it is what it is, but
Hey, I
yeah, it's always
respect
worth
that
it.
though. Like, if you're willing to fund your own dream and passion, like the day that it pays off, it's probably gonna feel so good.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's you can take that with anything in life, and I think that a lot of people kind of disregard that, but it's yeah, it's definitely a cool feeling, and I mean, yeah, it's respectable for sure for anybody that's doing it, like outside of being signed to a label that pays for part of it or some of it or all of it or whatever, but yeah, people that can fund their own dream and go after it and really just go for it, it's yeah, it's definitely respectable for sure. And yeah, I
So
mean, we had a ton of fun doing it, and it's yeah, it was great.
is that kind of the dream for you guys is to be signed to a label, or would you guys prefer to remain independent?
Oh yeah, that's definitely the dream. That's the far-fetched dream for sure. I mean, everybody wishes for that. It's a tough thing. Like everybody kind of has their different opinions, whether it's better to be independent and do your own thing and get that exposure that way, or sign your life away with a company that's going to promote you and help you out because it's you're definitely putting a lot of trust and faith in them, and there's rules and guidelines you have to follow. But yeah, that's definitely something we're like interested in and shooting towards. Yeah, for sure.
Because you do hear like the nightmare stories with bands and some labels. Did
Yeah.
you follow Hope's Fall at all?
Uh, to be honest, not too much. I've heard of horror stories. I haven't heard any details on them, but yeah, I mean, there's horror stories with every like record label. It's just, I mean, it comes with the trade, I think. But
Yeah, yeah.
no, please enlighten me if you'd like to. I'd love to hear about it.
Oh no, no, like Hope's Fall, like they just had a new album. They took like a 10-year hiatus, but what caused them to break up 10 years ago was the fact that they had signed with Trustkill Records and they had
Yeah,
kind of taken away their creative freedom, taken a lot of songs off the album that they worked hard on making. So
yeah,
you run into a lot of stuff like that.
yeah. It definitely depends where you go and who you're with, and I think a lot of labels are trying kind of aiming towards being as free as they can with who they sign and giving as much freedom towards the artists and bands as they can. But I mean, it's tough. Like they have to be able to ensure that they're going to make their money back too, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword in that regard. But yeah,
Yeah, I think like it too that they're starting to see that they have to give a little more leniency to their artists because as as the internet kind of continues to take shape and music creation becomes more accessible, you have all these indie artists putting content out there that does allow them to have that freedom of expression. And eventually, I think there's a fear that maybe the indie creator is going to pass up the big. It's already happening.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely think that like is a very realistic possibility, and I think that like a lot of labels are kind of trying to shy away from that happening. Obviously, that's not something they want to see happen. But yeah, it's definitely a threat, I think. Not necessarily seen as a threat, but I definitely think that it's a possibility, and I think that they respect that.
Yeah, yeah. So the future's uncertain, especially in content creation, whether music,
Yeah,
movie,
absolutely.
art,
Definitely.
whatever it is. Okay, so sorry, got to backtrack for a second. Bands, what bands have influenced your guys' music? Because I saw on your social media pages you have like Heart and Hand and a couple other ones. Are those bands that you guys are influenced by, or bands that you guys have played in?
Oh no, definitely not played in. Influence for sure. Heart and Hand, they're not a band anymore, but definitely one of our favorite melodic hardcore bands as
Yeah,
far as like
they were good,
influential
man.
writing. Oh, they were so good, man. It's so
That,
tragic that
that
they're
whole
not a thing
scene.
anymore. But
Yeah.
yeah, their like melodic guitar work is just out of this world. Like it's inhuman. But I definitely think that like Counterparts is probably our biggest influence. We get their comparison like every single day of our lives. It's kind of been a running joke for a while now, but yeah, them and we love Capsize and stuff too. That's one of my favorite bands. They're kind of still on the up and coming as well. Like they're getting towards some big things, and they're still kind of getting that snowball just rolling down that hill, and they're doing really big things lately. So yeah, Counterparts, Capsize, Take Heart is a big one for me. And yeah, a lot of the older stuff like I said, like Miss Sigs and Shai Hulud and stuff, as far as like just the roots of like melodic music and that transition towards like out of just your traditional metalcore into like the more melodic side of it is definitely a big thing for me for sure.
Yeah. I mean, because you've seen the genre, like I imagine you remember the genre kind of evolving as time goes on, splitting off into all the different cores and stuff. It's kind of cool
Yeah,
that these
yeah.
bands, instead of disbanding, are actually creating something new.
Yeah, definitely cool to see it creating something new and evolving on it like all the time. Like it's definitely cool to have seen it evolve over what it's been for the past like decade or however long you want to cut it. But yeah, it's definitely cool to see it change and transition into what it is and what it will be.
So when you see bands like like Thrice or Under Oath, how they were gone for a while and they come back and they've been around for almost 20 years now,
Yeah.
like does that give you hope for the future of
Oh,
of
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you look at like a possible rebirth of like My Chemical Romance and stuff, and it's like you hear rumors about that. And yeah, it definitely gives you hope. And you see a band like I think Under Oath is probably the biggest example in that regard. Like, yeah, they're like so huge and they always have been, and now they're touring again, and it's yeah, it definitely gives hope to bands that like have that fear of dying off and not being able to kind of make it work because it's yeah, I mean they did it and then they stopped and now they're doing it again, and it's yeah, it's definitely cool to see and it's definitely inspiring and motivating for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and people have been welcoming them, well, some people in Under Oath's case welcome them back with open arms, and then others are kind of,
Yeah, well, there's always two sides to it, right? There's always people that react and have that kind of negative connotation around it, but that is what it
yeah.
is.
The thing that's a bummer about it, it's not even like the fact that they're not making music like they used to. It's the fact that they ditched the Christian thing, and everyone's up in arms about that. Like,
Yeah, I know. It
it's
is what it is. I think that a lot of people just kind of react because they don't have anything else to do, you know?
the trolls will be
It's
trolls, man.
yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so how does the we kind of talked a little bit about the writing process earlier. How does, like, creatively, how do you guys kind of come up with, the themes and all that stuff of what you want to write? What are the themes of your music, would you, if you had to call it something?
Um, in regards to the lyrical content or just the band as a whole, like it definitely it's different in regards to the way that I write and the way that like Mike writes the instrumentals. We don't really collaborate on much, as far as like a band image would go. I don't think we're really at that stage yet. Not to say that we won't be one day, but it's that's not really like what we shoot for, if you will. But it's I don't know. We just try to write the best music that we can, and I don't really think that we have a theme as a band. Um, Not to say that we can't adapt to one, but I don't know. I write a lot about like experiences that I've been through and experiences that I'm going through, and in hopes to like get through those things and kind of touch people that are going through the same thing, and I think that's a big thing for me for sure. So
Yeah, that's awesome because a lot of bands kind of touch heavily on like depression, anxiety, self-image, stuff like that, and
mhm.
like especially for me in high school as someone who went through mental health issues, like it helps to know that there are other people out there who have gone through the same
Oh,
stuff.
that's the biggest thing for sure. Yeah, it's so cool to see like the relatability and stuff and just being aware that you're not alone in however you're feeling and knowing that other people go through the things that you go through. And yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things in core music, if you will. It's yeah, people that can write about stuff like that and have such a huge impact on people that go through it too. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, especially because in this modern time we live in, it's especially when it comes to like relationships and breakups and stuff. There's always you have like Huffington Post and Vogue and whatever writing all these like rules for dating and stuff, and like it's weird that everyone who reads that kind of stuff assumes that their grief is the same or better than everyone else's. So it's everyone processes it
Yeah,
differently.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so your latest single is out now and it's called Misgiver. What does the future look like for Stasis? Are there plans for another full-length album or a tour, or what do you guys got going on coming up?
Right now we're just trying to play as many shows as we can. That's like always been a big thing for us. Yeah, I mean in the near future we've got a little run with a band called Youth Fountain that just signed up Pure Noise. They're like a pop punk band out of Vancouver. Um, they're doing a nationwide tour with a couple other friends, and we've got like four shows booked with them, I think, all in BC. But that's kind of the next thing that we've got. And then yeah, I mean, we're always writing music and coming up with things that are towards that. And yeah, I mean, we'd love to put together another. I think the goal is for an EP or something in the near future. But yeah, that's right now we're just trying to play shows and get our name out there and get people to listen to our music. So
Hey man, well if you guys ever come down to California, let me know. I'll be in
uh,
the audience.
dude, that's the dream, man. Yeah, the California dream for sure.
Well, it's weird
I've been
with
to California like two times in my life, and it's like the best place on earth. So
Disneyland. Are you here for Disneyland?
I haven't been to Disneyland. I've been to Disney World, but I was in LA in uh, January, I think it was. But yeah, man, yeah, California's the shit. So
Yeah, dude, like and it's cool because like the hardcore bands around here, like they have like a rite of passage, I guess. So they have to play like there's a venue called Chain Reaction in Anaheim. You have
oh
to
yeah,
there,
definitely.
you have to
Yeah.
sell it out, and then if you can sell out Chain Reaction, then you can play House of Blues Anaheim. And it's just there's like this weird process, and you go on to
Yeah,
Troubadour.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah,
level
definitely.
up.
Yeah, you do. Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you do you before we go out, you got anything you want to say?
I
Any
just want to say thank you, man. Thank you for having me on the show. It means the world. Yeah, I mean, listen to our music, please. It's we're trying. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely moving towards a different kind of perspective on what we're writing and moving towards some things that we're really proud of and happy about. So
It's dude, honestly, thanks for coming on, man, because it's like I listen to your guys' music and it's good. It's really good. So
thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So
we're trying.
yeah, hey, it shows, and especially like like I was saying earlier with between your LP and your new single out, like there's definitely a progression there that has gotten
Yeah, and I think that's probably our biggest thing right now is trying to focus on that and better it with the stuff that's to come. The reactions that we've gotten and the yeah, just the reactions from people have been insane. And we're super proud of it and happy about it. And yeah, we couldn't be more stoked about it. So
nice. Hey, well, you're okay, you're good with what you guys are making. So as long as there's not like what's that self criticism where you're constantly trying to
yeah.
like this
Well, I
suck.
mean, that comes with any creative thing, right? Like any artist of any kind, right? Like that self-doubt and critique is always there, but it's only going to make you better if you're critiquing yourself, right? So we
Yeah,
always strive for that. We're always trying to be better, and yeah, we're never accepting what we can do is good enough. So,
right. And there's no you guys don't seem to have that fear of vulnerability that a lot of bands do that never end up going very far.
well, I think that holds a lot of people back. I mean, we try to shy away from a lot of the doubting and stuff like that, and I don't know, we're just trying to play as many shows as we can and get our name out there and just be be who we are. We're always real and present and truthful and honest with what we are and what we want. So
That's good, man. I respect it. I respect it. If people want to find your music or reach out to you guys, where would be the best place to look?
uh Instagram, Facebook, anything like that. Instagram handle is at stasisband.bc. And our Facebook is just stasisbc. Yeah, check us out on Spotify. We're we're always putting our new stuff up on there and yeah, anything social media, we're all over everything. So
All right, cool. Well, for those of you listening, this has been another episode of Topicocalypse. If you're looking for the podcast, you can find it on Podbean, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, podcast.com, Stitcher, Google Play, and other great podcasting outlets around the globe. Uh, you can also find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, it's been a pleasure. All right, cool, man. Hey, honestly, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it.
dude, thank you, man. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. Good. I like having talks like this.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna try to have this up probably Thursday morning,
Okay, cool.
and then
Right on.
if you wouldn't mind sharing it, and then I'll share your guys' music. And one more question: Do you guys aren't signed? Do you want me to throw a Misgiver on the podcast? Would that be cool?
Dude, that'd be wicked, man. Please do. Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
great.
All right,
Yeah,
cool,
please
man.
do. Thank you, man. Yeah, I'll definitely give it a share and get the rest of the guys in the band to share it too, for
All right,
sure.
man. Appreciate it,
Yeah,
dude.
we're all over that.
Yeah, yeah. I'll and once you guys get going, or you guys have more stuff to announce, if you want to come back on, that'd be cool too. I usually have
Dude, 100%, man. Yeah,
Yeah. I usually have 3 other
absolutely. I'd
guys
love
with
to.
me sitting drinking beer back here, but they're not here
Oh,
today.
sweet. Nice. Right on.
All right, cool, man. Well, I'll be in touch tomorrow, and I'll just let you know what time's going up and all that good stuff.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
All right, dude. Thanks again, man.
All right. Keep in touch, buddy. Cheers.
All right,
Thanks.
late.